Okay, so I am Beatriz Serrano-Solano. I work at Uruguay Imaging. I'm aware that we are almost at lunchtime, but I also learned today that Anthony has nothing interesting to say, so I will take my time. And so I work at Uruguay Imaging, and what is that? No, Anthony, I will take my short time only. So Uruguay Imaging is a research infrastructure, European one. So that's something that it's similar to what Elixir is to bioinformatics, but in this case it's for medical and biological imaging. So distributed across a number of countries. And that's all these things that you can see in the map. These are facilities. So those facilities are offering microscopes. So that's the main business that we have, right? So we have different institutes that provide these microscopes, and people go there and do the experiment. So the use case could be I'm a researcher, I want to look at a particular organism and a particular level of detail, but I don't have this particular microscope at my institute, so I will go to another one. And this other one is part of the network, so that would be the usual use case for imaging users. So basically, these 18 countries plus EMBL are providing this user access. Besides that, on the particular instruments, we also provide sometimes, or they also provide sometimes, image analysis as a service, and that's also where Galaxy comes into play. It's fully funded with grants, so it's publicly funded, and we also have some funding coming from the member states. And as you can see, it's totally distributed. I guess you notice that there is a big gap in the map in the center. In Germany, it's not there, so that's something to work on a bit. And also Switzerland. So for Hans Rudolf, next challenge after the Galaxy National Instance, you have now a mission to get Uruguay Imaging also part, in Switzerland, part of Uruguay Imaging. Okay, so that's all more or less to introduce what the infrastructure is about. Now, we offer these services, so the nodes are offering the services, but also from the hub and the nodes as well, we have expert groups, and that's for those familiar with Elixir, it's similar to the concept of Elixir committee or Elixir focus group. So basically, we have regular meetings in which people discuss different topics, and the topics are related to imaging in general. So we have one image data, we have human imaging, different technologies for light microscopy, electron microscopy, spectral microscopy, all these kind of things. We also have some on sustainability related to what Nicola presented just before, and user access, all this kind of stuff. What I want to focus today is on one that we created recently, that it's the Fair Image Data Workflows, and starting in July 2023, I introduced this already 2 years ago when I was presenting this here in the same event. So what we wanted to do there was, and we managed to do, is to create a group of motivated people that wanted to do image analysis Galaxy. And that could be also, I like to also call it kind of a group therapy in which people go and share their problems, and this is the bottleneck that I have. So in the end, we all share the pain and try to help each other. And we also want to do some outreach about this, because Daniela mentioned this very nicely for digital humanities this morning, and it's a bit similar for imaging. Many people don't know what Galaxy is, and if they know what it is, they reject it. So that's kind of tricky, and we need to also be careful with the outreach that we do in this sense. We also try to support with funding acquisition, and from the Uruguay Imaging side, we can also help people provide letters of support and this kind of stuff. So in general, what we want to do, and what we are doing actually, is to coordinate efforts that are happening in different places. Okay, so then what we do is we meet every month, so that's the third Wednesday of the month at 4. We meet, and usually we welcome new members. And here I wanted to also say something about, from the community aspect, we created a spreadsheet at the beginning, and we everybody that joins, they say, okay, this is my name, I work here, and this is what I want, and this is what I need. So everybody knows this. And whenever there is a new person, they put that in the spreadsheet if they want to share this detail with the rest. So at the beginning, because of my Galaxy background, it was quite Galaxy biased. So there are many people from the Galaxy community already. So nobody was at that time new to Galaxy. So we were not doing this proper outreach, let's say. But over time, we are attending events, we are doing plenty of things, and that's changing. And now we have more people from the UI imaging nodes that are surprised about having automated workflows and this kind of capabilities. So that's also an interesting shift that we are observing here. So we have usually sometimes a presentation, someone says, okay, this is my use case, or this is my workflow, or this is how we usually do things. And you also use different workflow management systems. So people come and share if they want to present something about their work. And then we also share whatever it's new, if there's a new tutorial, a new workflow or something like that. And we also plan a lot for events, hackathons, and when we want to go to conferences, prepare abstracts and so on. If you want to know more about the group, and in general, it's open, so it doesn't have, people don't need to be part of Euro Engine to be part of, to join this group. There is a page on the Euro Engine website, another one, the Galaxy Community Hub, so we are in that sense SIG as well. And we have a Matrix channel that is quite active. There is some activity there. You have the QR there to join. That's within the Galaxy project space as well. And we organize everything on GitHub. And I think it's working very nicely. We have different repositories there to track all the different issues and things that we want to do. And whenever we have an event, we create a new project and pick the issues that we want to do on that particular event. All right, so then I presented here 2 years ago, and I tried to reuse the slides. So basically, I was looking at how that's changed from the past 2 years. That was because last year we had the GCC in Europe, so there was no European Galaxy Day. So in 2 years, I came with this slide here, and the problem that we had back then was that we didn't have so many tools in Galaxy, or we were not aware of that. So the first thing would be, let's collect what is available in there. And also that we were biased towards the bio world. And there were other people that were already mentioned several times, other communities that could be using also images, and we were not talking to them. So we wanted to first gather what's in there and try to bring these people together and see what happens. And then we also collected all the different limitations, because I mentioned before, I received some pushback when I tried to promote Galaxy in the imaging community. And those are the things that I've heard about in the past. And so now that we have this paper, I think it's becoming better, or it will be better, because at least I can share the link instead of starting a discussion. Hans Rudolph already mentioned this one. We started a long time ago with this, but now we have at least the preprint, and it will facilitate to at least debust some of these misconceptions. Okay. So that was also the roadmap that I presented here. So we wanted to do first, bring new tools to Galaxy that were very popular for the imaging community, and then assemble some workflows from it, and then produce the training materials to document them, have events, and then talk to people about this in community events in general. So I will focus on the first part, and there will be a summarized slide that we've been presenting for a while. Also thanks Leonid for contributing to these ones. So basically, we have now plenty of tools that are very commonly used in the imaging world, and these are classified in 3 different categories. So the first one would be on data management. I think that Matthias mentioned yesterday Ricardo. Ricardo has been doing great work in Romero here, with getting the data in and out. Lucille also presented a couple of years ago something on Homero that was also interesting. So there are many people working on these different things, and we try also to coordinate through this group that we are running. On the data analysis and polls, all these different tools, and also the notebooks. And I have not mentioned this before in the roadmap, but we had, in the original plan, we had notebooks as one of the things that we wanted to address. But I think that somehow it hasn't happened. I'm not sure why. We will come back to notebooks a bit more, but I think because they are hard to maintain, it's a bit tricky, and it doesn't come up so much in the discussion. So we are mostly focused on the grabbing the Galaxy tools. Okay, so I think that it's fascinating also for people when we present that, is that they can combine different tools into the same workflow. So having the ability to, usually they would do segmentation using one tool, and then they start the feature with a different tool, and so it gets complicated to share, and it's not properly fair. In this case, when they see that in Galaxy, they can chain everything just one go, and then hit playback and run it, and that makes it very interesting for them. So the tools that I mentioned, they are translated into a number of tasks that are available, and that also brings the question that Ivan asked the other day, yesterday, to Leonie, that I think it was very pertinent about what kind of things can we reuse in our discipline. And many of these things are described in a very generic way, but the object might be totally different. So for example, we can say, okay, well, I want to track how a cell is moving, doing something. In some other disciplines, I may want to track if an animal is moving, right? But we don't care if it's an animal or if it's a cell, we just want to do the tracking. So we translated that into the image analysis tasks and being trying to be agnostic and also annotating them. So that's something that we need to keep in mind for cross-disciplinary analysis in general. Okay, now we'll focus on the second part a bit more on the workflows and the trainings and so on. Maybe one is. So we started with 5 tutorials that were quite basic at the beginning, and now we have plenty of things. And thank you also to Diana, that has been also working a lot on these things. Boris also helping the bio. There are plenty of people here that have been contributing to these tutorials. And now we have many different things from disciplines that are useful for other areas as well. So we have all the AI models, we have the Voronoi segmentation, which is purely cross-disciplinary, I will mention in a second as well. And we also have some on data management, that's some work done by the UK on the fair bioimage data. This is about REMP recommendations, how the images should be annotated, what kind of metadata we put in there. Also, there's some work on how this is annotated as well. So it's a bit more diverse than it was at the beginning. We've been doing some events as well, and we try to go beyond the Galaxy ones because already you guys know about this, and it's not the user base that we are trying to aim. We are welcome, of course, to use, but we want to go to the real people doing things in microscope and see if they would be interested in using it. So there is an EBI course that it's organized every year. There is a microscopic data analysis, machine learning, and the bioimage archive. So that's the bioimage archive. It's having a collection of image data, and they organize this course every year. So we went there and tried to present the working Galaxy, and people were also interested. Actually, yesterday, someone from this course contacted me saying that they want to be part of the group. So there's some interest in this as well. Globias is also a society for bioimage analysts, and that's also, they were organizing some webinars, so we also contributed there. In neuroimaging, we also have this image data days, image data community days, and we also try to make people of the nodes aware of the activities in the group and what Galaxy is and so on. And then we also have hackathons. We have a couple of them here already around spring. And the biohackathon, we usually participate as well. So far, since we started, we are getting projects. And this year we will have one that is more on the cross-domain and the AI applications, AI-ready applications of these workflows that we develop. On community building, so we try to do these events to make people aware. That's the first thing. We have the group, we have the discussion in this group, we present in the community conferences related to Galaxy from GCC, European Galaxy Days. Leonid has been our representative in the past years as well. At the German level and more on the data management side, Cordian and FDI for bioimage were also very active. That's also from Matthias' side, and you have said in UI imaging, that's also interesting. So I presented, when we have the all hands with all the nodes, I presented this poster that is quite generic about what we want to do in the group, and they approach me quite a lot because they are not used to have such automated approaches. In I2K, which is globalized, also the conference in Porto, we also had a session about this. In I2K, which is also image through knowledge, which is quite common and well known for the imaging community, also presented last year in Milan. And because we are ASIC, we are also part of the Galaxy community where so many of these things that we do are useful for others, and that's where I think all the cross-disciplinary discussions could happen. Also, I shared before the list of tools and so on. My dream would be next time to show something like the thing that Berenice showed the first day, in which she has, this is the number of runs that we had, how many people are using it. And that's something that we can also, I think, discuss in the Galaxy community board and see how much of what she presented it's useful for the imaging community, and we can get similar kind of data. I think that might be also relevant for other disciplines. Okay, so then I move on to more purely cross-disciplinarity, and this is the Oscars open call that happens twice already and was mentioned before, I think by Paul yesterday. So there was the first one, it was quite competitive, and there were many projects submitted, and somehow we got it. So the project that we got is this one. We have 3 different communities represented there. Bio, this is Eurobiology, this is us. Then we have astronomy, EPFL, that was going to be here, but he couldn't. So that's also another of the communities that we are covering with Volodymyr and EPFL. And we have Anne from the environmental sciences at Simula. So basically, it's the same example as I was saying before with the tracking. This is a good graphical representation of the segmentation as well. In the first image, you have cells, and we just want to identify where the cell is and segment it. And for the astronomy community, they have stars, so it's still a dark background and some object there that we also want to extract. And for the environmental sciences, we have an example with some trees in there. So again, it's about detecting these objects. And it's tricky because at least we agree that we want to do it using Galaxy, so that the fairness of the workflow and this aspect of reusing, it's simple. And Nicola nicely explained the fair aspects of all the different FA and everything, and the verification of the workflows. So in that sense, we agree on using the same platform, and that makes it easier. Still, the tools need to be interoperable because all of us are coming from different communities that have different types of data, different repositories. So we need to get the data in Galaxy from the different repositories, and we also need to know which format they are coming from. And that's a bit more complicated. So we are looking at the fair implementation profiles and to analyze what is it that we, each one of us have, and try to bring it together. And probably we'll have to also adapt some Galaxy tools so that they can take the data from no matter what community. And this is, of course, and this is for Ivan in particular, that as yesterday, it's useful for others as well, right? So it's not just, this is 3 examples, but we could use it for someone else as well. All right, so then what we want to do here basically is to reuse the workflow. So we want to have a workflow from the beginning till the end, except for the data input, that we can, without changing much, maybe tuning some parameters, use by another community. For that, we also need to embed somehow the verification process of it so that people are aware when they create a tool or when they have the image data that they need to annotate that in a particular way. I was mentioning yesterday in one of the questions that, for example, for AI models, when we have a repository for bio models in general, we annotate these models and say, this is a cell segmentation model. And that doesn't mean anything for the other communities. So we need to say object segmentation or something that is more generic. And that's why we also have EDAM, bioimaging, and EDAM in general in the project, because we also need to enrich the ontologies, and we need to make sure that we all understand each other and we have a common vocabulary. And the third point would be to raise awareness, to let people know that we have tools, that we are working in this collaborative approach, and then we try to have this cross-disciplinarity in mind, and so that others can reuse what is produced by each one of the communities. So this is the tutorial that I mentioned before, the Verano segmentation. This is an example that might be showcased at the EO Symposium this year as well. So the examples here, you can see the 3 images, and this is part of the tutorial. So basically you, depending on which community you're coming from, you select what images you're going to take. And so you have cells in the first one, it's a bit dark, but there are cells there. Then there's the trees, and then there are the stars. So basically you run the same workflow that it's available in the tutorial, and then you get the output depending on your community. So that's what we want to also repeat with other workflows and covering more tools so that it's truly cross-disciplinary, not just one example. So what we want to do, I briefly mentioned this already, we have these fair implementation profiles at the beginning, so we need to look at each one of us and see what we need. And for that, the tricky part is the data that we are bringing. So we're looking at the different fair letters for each one of the communities. And now we need to agree on how we proceed depending what we have in common, what is different between us. Then we need to enrich the ontology. So EDAM has different branches, and we have EDAM by imaging, we have EDAM geology or something like that. So we need to kind of see if this is something that we need to merge or how we keep it separate but still consistent. So that's something for EDAM to contribute to the project. And then we need to also make sure that the Galaxy tools are compatible regardless of the community that is using it. And then develop the different workflows, talk about this, and then have more the exploration of those results. Okay, so I think this is the last slide. I would like to invite everyone to join if you're interested in anything related to imaging. Doesn't have to be again bio. So if you have discussions that you want to have about something else, or you want to see how you can reuse something that we already have, please join. We are meeting every third Wednesday of the month. We will have also some events that are coming up. The first one is happening mid-October in Australia. There will be someone presenting the project there. There's also the biohackathon, so whoever is going there, also please feel free to pass by the project if it's not full time, but you can have some discussions. That would be also nice. We will try to also collocate with the other biohackathon projects from Galaxy with the green stuff so that we can share things. In the EU symposium, we got a lightning talk, so we will talk about this project as well. And there might be a video. We don't know. There might be a video. There might be. Yes, okay. They are discussing right now in Helsinki, so we know there is. Okay, good. And then there is an interesting event in Lausanne, and this is in December. This is the Astro Orders workshop, and I never heard about this because this is not my community. But it's a whole workshop about astronomy. So there will be many people that discussing things that I will probably not understand. But one of the sessions would be about the Oscar project. So we want to get some information from the particular community, know what they need from EDAM, how they can benefit from the project, and so on. So that's how we plan to also be embedded in the different groups so that we can make them aware and try to help each other. And that's all. Thank you so much.